Hi there, my name is Maria of Maria Grace Photography based out of Hampton Roads, Virginia, and I just wanted to share a few quick tips that I've learned about how to take better pictures with your smartphone, whether it's an iPhone, Android, or something else entirely. These tips will help you. So my first tip is to ensure that you have adequate light. Now, this is a pretty obvious tip, but it's one a lot of people forget about. Sometimes you're in an unavoidable situation where you just have to take a picture and it's really dark and it is what it is. At that point, turn on your flash and just embrace the results. The problem is this doesn't always make for the most aesthetically pleasing picture because you've got a bright subject, be that a person or something else, and you've got a really dark background, a dark foreground. A lot of times this will turn out with the background or foreground really dark and grainy. It's called noise in photography terms, but really fuzzy and grainy, and it just does not look aesthetically pleasing. So the best thing to do is, if at all possible, use natural light. That's going to be outdoors or even indoors if something's lit by the sun, and that's the best way to ensure that you have adequate light. And you'll be able to tell if you don't. Like I said, if you see that darkness, fuzziness, graininess, you'll be able to tell that you don't have enough light. So ensure that you have adequate light before you take your picture. The second tip I have is one that I see people making all the time, which is to avoid backlighting. Now, backlighting is where whatever is in the foreground, whatever is in the front of your subject, whether that's yourself, somebody else, or another subject, the foreground is dark and the background is very bright. A lot of times that's because the sun is behind you or maybe a big window is behind you and you want to take the picture anyways. The problem is, as you've seen in your own photographs or in other people's photographs from their smartphone or even a camera, the background is so bright that when the subject has the right amount of brightness or exposure on them, then they cannot compete with the background, and the background often turns into just a bright white sheet of light. You can't see any detail, you don't know what's going on back there, and it makes the picture just, again, aesthetically unpleasing. So you can fix this by turning around. It's pretty simple, especially if you are in front of a window. You can face the window, just like I'm doing now, and have the light come in right on your face so that the background, the foreground, and the subject are all lit appropriately and lit the same. Now, of course, you don't want to have the sun bright in your face, so the other thing you can do is turn at an angle and make sure that the sun is still hitting your face but also hitting the background, so the background isn't so bright that it's completely white and that it's not so dark that you have to use a flash. So the third tip can also help with the backlighting situation, which is to find open shade. Now, what I mean by open shade is when you're outdoors especially, there might be some shade or some area that's blocking the sun from shining directly on it. Now, there's still plenty of light because you're outdoors and the sun is out, you're not doing this at night, but at the same time you have shade so that the background is shaded and you will be shaded when you stand in that shade. That will ensure that you're not backlighting, you don't have something really bright behind you, but that you have adequate light and you don't have to use your flash. So look for open shade. Quick tip with that is make sure you're looking for open shade that has a neutral background or foreground. If you have, say, a red brick wall right in front of you blocking the shade, your picture is going to have, that color cast, that little bit of red, or if you have green or something else, it's going to cast a not so appealing color on your face. I would still say this is preferable to backlighting or to not having adequate light. However, just keep that in mind. If there's a white building or if there's some cement that's neutral colored, those are great things to create open shade. So I hope that helps. Again, I'll just review really quickly. Your top 3 tips are: number 1, ensure that you have adequate light for your picture; number 2, avoid backlighting; and number 3, when possible and outdoors, find open shade. I hope that helps. Leave me a comment and let me know if you have any other questions, and I look forward to the next video.